Well, this piece is especially interesting to us because this is an amphora that's coming from the Greek world. It's not local, so it's a sign of importation. It's a sign that people were bringing goods from Greece here to Akko. And we can tell where this is coming from, partly from the ware. We know that this is from an island called Rhodes, but also, even better, from the stamp itself. Here we have a stamped impression with a rose in the middle, and the rose is a pun on the island's name. This is coming from the island of Rhodos, Rhodes, and Rhodos is also, so you have the flower, the rose, indicating that this is coming from the island. It was also called Rhodos. So we know that this is from Rhodes, and we also know that Rhodian wine was very highly prized in antiquity. It was considered one of the best wines in the world. It was excellent wine. And so the fact that it's found here at Akko tells us that the people at Akko were importing this highly prized wine from Rhodes. The stamp here also is interesting because it gives us a proper name, Eucles, and a month, Hyacinthos. Hyacinthos is a month in the summer. So this tells us then, it tells us who's minting this wine, the Rhodians, and Euclid gives us a clue as to the year and then the summer. So this is basically a stamp that's marking the vintage of the wine. Now this was found up on top of the tell, and it's the handle from a huge wine amphora. It would be about this big around, and have another handle coming out here, and it might stand about this tall. So somebody lugged this huge vessel all the way up to the top of the tell. You know, this isn't a jar of wine that's coming into the port to be unloaded in the warehouse and transported somewhere else. This is taken up to the tell. So it shows us that someone on the top of the tell, where we're excavating under Napoleon, was a drinker of fine wine, and that this wine was valued by people up in the industrial quarter of the tell. There is one thing, though, that should be noted, and that is that these wine amphoras were reused. The person who bought this may have been buying true Rhodian wine, true authentic Rhodian wine. But since we know that these vessels were reused, there's some evidence that they were reused, it's possible that our person on the top of the tell at Akko from the industrial quarter was buying a substitute wine that had been put into the container when it was reused. So we can't be 100% sure that our person was actually drinking Rhodian wine, but we might imagine that he thought he was, or he or she thought they were.